Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Around the Table, where we bring you new content every single Friday. So you need to like this video right now and also subscribe to this channel so you can be informed when our videos drop each and every Friday. I'm excited to bring in some brand new content with this interview with one of my great friends, Clint Garman, where he's going to have a chance to explain about rest, to also talk about how investing in people's lives and how he has been impacted himself. So go ahead, grab a chair, and let's come around the table. Well, hey guys, thank you for joining me today for this inaugural episode of Around the Table. I'm honored and blessed that you've joined me here today. And what this is, it's called Around the Table. And the point is that we're supposed to stop and get back to basics. We need to be around the table. We need to be living life with people. We need to be listening, sharing stories, and just getting to build in each other's lives. And so today I have an amazing first guest, one of my mentors, one of my good friends. I think there's a long laundry list of everything he's ever done. I'm pretty sure he's Superman. We have an entrepreneur. He was a pub owner. He was mayor. He's city council member. He's been in men's ministry, different ministry roles. He's a husband. He's a father. Pretty much anything you can throw the kitchen sink into, let's do it. But I have my good buddy, Clint Garman, on here. How are you doing?
Doing good, my friend. No, thanks for having me today. Appreciate it. So appreciate the time and just the conversation. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on here. How's life? Let's just start going.
Overall, it's really well. I've had some great things that happen and not so great things happen over the last 3 months. So thankful just for faith and thankful for an awesome wife to walk through stuff, great friends, a couple good mentors, actually one specific mentor in my life currently now, and a lot of guys I do iron with, and a couple guys I get to pour into. So I'm pretty well rounded that way. But it all starts basically with my time with God and also my time with my wife, which has just been amazing. So we have hiccups like everybody else, but it's been overall, we know where we're coming and where we're going. So.
Yeah, and the point of this kind of meeting, or whatever you want to call it, vlog, podcast, is that I've gotten the honor and pleasure of getting to know you really well. And I want other people to see outside of the realm of, my friend circle, your friend circle, whoever randomly clicks on this on YouTube, to see that you're someone that is very real. You're just a real dude, and that's what I love about you. You're authentic, and you bring faith into every aspect of your life, and you make a difference, but you don't shove it down people's throats and say, this is the only way to make it happen. You just, pretty much the way I like to say it, live life and bring people along for the journey. So I want people to get to know you, and I want to see how you handle different circumstances, how it's affected your life. So if you could, why don't you tell us who is Clint Garman? I gave a quick checklist, but who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I've been blessed. I'm fifth generation Ventura County. My kids are sixth generation. I have 3 kids: Sierra 28, Orion's 21. My youngest is 18, and she just graduated high school at Santa Paula High School. So, like every senior or that's in any college or high school, what an incredible time. I've seen a beautiful young lady handle it like a champ, and being able to miss, whether it's proms and dances and graduations, and being able to roll with the punches, like, and just be like, oh, this is kind of like how it's going to be. That's okay. Like, we're not expected to always have the same exact experiences that like mom and dad had, or her brothers and sister. So really, really cool to see that. Currently I live in Santa Paula. I've been here had an Irish pub, Garman's Irish Pub, for 11 years, and we shut that down due to COVID and no PPP loans. And so it's forced us to reset and reshape everything that we're doing in life. Currently finishing my 4th year on city council, and in the midst of trying to figure out if we're going to do that for another term or what that looks like. And also trying to figure out if we're going to stay, we're definitely staying in Ventura County, but will it be Santa Paula, Ventura, Ojai, Oxnard? Will that change? And so my prayer has been pretty wide open, like, what do we get to do next? And been honored to have a couple different opportunities in the workplace to kind of change that up. So that's me in a nutshell. To start off with, from the Ventura aspect, as far as me, just man of faith, always knew that there was a God. I would say that a girlfriend in 11th grade brought me to know the things of Jesus, and then my 11th and 12th grade were pretty awesome. And then from about 18 to 23, right after graduation, just became a knucklehead and thought I was, I think the word was, my dad said I was Mr. Bitchin', and said, "Hey man, you just, your attitude is kind of piss poor and you need to kind of change things up." And probably about 23, 24, kind of clicked on and started following the things of Jesus. Met my wife, and then we started just spending time and not so much going to church. I'd already read the Bible all the way through. So I had plenty of knowledge and just very, very little wisdom. And so trying to take that and apply it to my everyday life, which is great. But it wasn't probably till about 20 years ago that we finally heard from God, and a guy walking, like a lot of us, walking in shame and guilt and being kind of beat up and beat down. And this, your past is who forms you. And realizing that my worst day does not define me, neither does my best day, but understanding who I am in Christ has kind of been allowed me to reshape in those experiences to share with the other. So God's been really clear, like everything that's in your life is not yours. It may be your experiences, whatever, but yours to share with the other, to make sure that hopefully people won't have to go through some of it. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I've been really focusing on through, whether it's being an entrepreneur, through the restaurant, or through city council, or just being my pastoral role. It's been good, and so it's been challenging, been fun, a lot of tears, a lot of stirring up dirt, a lot of time, a lot of comfort, but also a lot of laughter and just tons of joy. And if I didn't have joy, then I'd just be a wreck. I'd be useless. So been very thankful. So it's kind of it in a nutshell.
And that is amazing tagline you just had, is that you go share it. You live it so you can go share it with other people, and hopefully you don't have to go through it. That's an amazing aspect in life. And that's pretty much why I asked you to be in my life and had you on this, because that's a perfect analogy of how to do things. We're not meant to live life alone. We're meant to continue living life, pouring into others, teaching others when we get the chance to, but just being there for one another. But this show is called Around the Table. And so it's, like I mentioned, meant to get back to basics. It's meant to live life with people. So who are you personally inviting to your table right now? Living, deceased, famous, family, who are you inviting to your table? And what's the two most important dishes to be on that table to share and break bread with?
Yeah, it's interesting. When for the last 11 years, I had having a restaurant, the table was wide open and was open for everybody, which was very cool. So as you pray and you kind of look and you see different people that walk through, some just want a meal. They want to get in and get out. Other people come for the conversation. Some come for both. Some are just don't realize why they're there. And trying to figure that out, that's always been the best part of my life, was spending people at the table. And so that's what you do in hospitality. You're serving the other and caring for the other. Yes, you can serve them food and drink, and that's fine, whatever. But if you can serve them hospitality and truly serve yourself to them and be available, that's kind of the key of why we were successful for 11 years. And then now that's in the last 3 years, or in the last 3 months, been trying to refocus. What does that mean? So it's going back to coffee shops. So having a coffee with almost one person a day, trying to have lunch with someone, whether it's having a pint with somebody in the afternoon. So it's still 10 to 15 guys a month that I'm meeting with, and it's been fantastic. So inviting different people, it's great. I've been kind of really, as I run into people at Vons or Trader Joe's or CVS, and you see people on the street like, "Hey man, I haven't seen you for a while. Like, well, let's get together." And I've been pretty intentional when someone says, "Yeah, we should get together sometime." I'm like, "Well, grab your phone, bro, and let's set the date." And so that's been kind of really my key thing. It's like, if you're serious, let's do it. And like, "Oh, I'll get back to you and let you know." Okay, I'll give them the way out. So they can call me and text me later on. And usually 8 out of 10 times they do, but maybe they just weren't ready. But the other times, if we can set it up, whatever the worst case is, I spend an hour and a half getting to know someone else's story and hopefully add more into their life than I take away. So
That's really good. You got some great lines. You have serving and caring for people is one of the most important things around the table. Figure out why they're coming to the table and meet them where they are. That's a beautiful way to live life. And it's made a difference, because just to tell you how transparent this man is, stepping inside of his pub when it was around and sitting at a table, there wasn't a time that we didn't sit down that 2 or 3 people didn't come by and say, "How's it going, Clint? It's so good to see you." And you constantly gave them time. You gave them the appreciation that they needed at that one moment. So it's true. What you were saying, that is the way you are. But I can already know some of your passions. One of your passions is on your t-shirt right there. You lead a men's retreat.
Right, what should I add on? Okay.
But what are some more of your passions? What's going on in your heart? What has God put in your mind of what you want to be doing in this world that he's placed you in?
Yeah, I think one of the key things, like you alluded to the shirt, so the Nasi retreat is something this will be the 21st annual, into September. I started at 6 months. Right when my son was born, I started working on it, and he just turned 21, so he's been up there the last 3 years. But it was more so of guys camping and just get the guys to hang out with one another. And then we tried to bring in more of the spiritual. We did speaking up there, did guitars and whatnot, and that's great when we first did it. But then we started focusing on the barbecue and getting 50 guys up there, and it was just for our kind of like our church community in the beginning. And now it's opened up to like 15 different communities, 250 guys coming up there from all over Ventura County most. So we have some guys out of state that come in and from San Francisco and San Diego, but focused on letting know that more guys that are kind of doing the same thing. And those that don't know who Christ is to come up there to the Nasi retreat. So that's been my main kind of goal I've been doing outside of my work. That's something just a passion that I love to do. That if I could do that full time, that'd be great. Creating these things for guys to gather and be open. Since then, we do worship, through music, but also through conversation, cornhole, 6 boats, tons of barbecue. And then my buddy Jim Sheldon is a pastor over at Mission Church in Ventura. He just threw together the fire pits. He says, it'd be cool. Like after these things, let's make sure we go back to the fire pits and kind of be really intentional on that. So about 4 years ago, we started being that. And so Jim get up and kind of give direction. He's just great. He's a great administrator that way, and threw it out to all the guys, and everybody went back. And then all of a sudden the stories are just coming out. And so usually it's just kind of funny how God works, where you got one fire pit that's guys are just throwing about like their life at work, and one fire pit's like, their childhood traumas. And then other ones over here, it's talking about, they got 2 or 3 guys are going through divorce over here, and how these guys been put together, whatever. We're intentionally put them to the thing, but we're not telling who to go to which camp, whatever. And we're not saying, hey, this is this specific topic, and just happens to come out. So it's been pretty awesome. So I'm pretty thankful for that. Then, like everybody else, COVID-19 kind of disrupted everyone's life. We all looked internally like, gosh, what are we doing? Paychecks and work, and our restaurant shut down. But then there's other people that are going through so much more difficult things, and trying to figure out, okay, God, what do you have for us in this midst, and how do we get to come out of this even better? And what opportunities have presented that maybe we were missing beforehand, but now are right at our front door. So we've been really pretty intentional about that, trying to figure that out. I don't have all the answers by any means, but there's some people and some neighbors that I've had to make sure that they're cared for. The things are isolation and separation and division. Those 3 words that the enemy have been using specifically to keep people away from each other. And then, the physical touch, being an extrovert and a guy that just loves to, hug people and give people a hard time, whatever. And it's a little more difficult. The introverts, this is, maybe they were probably built for this time, glass
Wonderful.
of wine, sit on the couch, whatever, watch a TV program, call it good, see a few people. But the other side of the spectrum, which is I am, it's changed how we do life a little bit. Yeah. So, and try to be respectful from everybody, that people that wear masks don't wear masks, and try to make sure that you're loving on all of them correctly. So
you were talking a little bit ago about, figuring out why they're at the table. Some people just need companionship, fellowship. Some people need a meal. So why is that meeting people where they are and living life with them? How does that make a difference in our world today?
Well, each of us comes with a different set of, we all grew up differently with our parents, our schools, our schooling, our education, our neighborhoods, our relatives. We've all grown up a little bit different. So when everybody comes, we can have similar experiences, which is great. But when anybody comes to a table, depending on their day and depending on their week and depending on what they're putting out there through their body language, through their voice, through who they've come in with, it all changes. When you come in go to a cronies or go to a draft, whatever, and go with 4 guys and have a beer, whatever, and sit there and talk about sports. But when people sometimes, that's great, we're there just to watch sports, whatever, and sit there and kind of just hang out. But there's also times you just come in with one guy and just having a beer or whatever, and tell him he's on his phone, he's just kind of lonely, whatever. And those are the guys that I'm like, hey, what's going on? And we try to be very specific and try to encourage people wherever they're at. If those guys want to join us and have a beer, great. People want to sit there and just sit there and talk and sulk. We give them room also. So the table's open to everybody, depending on whatever's going on there in their lives. But we'll meet them and allow, if they'll let us in. As far as they'll let us in, we'll go meet them where they're at. So, and then hopefully they share a story and share their kind of who they are. So
that's great. So we have this place where you've spoken a lot of life into me, and you've done that with so many leaders around the county and beyond. You've taken people through different books. You've taken people through different thought processes and just shared some of your life goals and life stories with them. Um, this seems to be a great passion of yours. What do you get out of helping these other leaders kind of experiencing something brand new? Like you've helped me understand more of this Sabbath idea and how big that is. What's this big calling on your heart for that?
Wow. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
The, it's, what I get out of it is mostly more God's. I'm trying to be one obedient to what God has made me be, and kind of who He's made me to be to other people. I want to make sure that I'm present. One, that I'm present with Him. When I'm present
Mm,
with my wife and my family, and present with people that I have the pleasure of meeting. So what I get out of it is mostly just the joy of knowing that I've either made a new friend, a new acquaintance, that I've poured into their life, that I've learned some experiences from their life, whatever, and be able to put that into who I am. And every day we're learning and we're reshaping and reassessing who we are as men, as fathers, as husbands, as people of God. And I think it's essential. So it's rare that there's a day that doesn't go by unless I have had no interaction with anybody and I've just slept on the couch. But even then, I'm still probably learning how to rest my body a little bit better. But to be able to take those experiences from other people and whatever they have to offer and learn from them. So I love it. I mean, every conversation I have, I'm learning something specific. Like, oh, that's great. I want to hang out with that guy more. Or, hey, that's a great anecdote he has. That's something that he's applied to his life that is just awesome. Oh man, I see that guy, how he treats his kids. And be able to ask questions. And so that's been kind of key, that anybody will let me in to be able to share and learn from. That's great. So
mm,
I think that's more so trying to be a gatherer of that knowledge and see what God has for me, and then be able to take that and maybe share that with another. So.
wow, that's really good. Um, and like I mentioned earlier, you're a busy guy, but you always make time for people, and I love that about you. And that just speaks volumes about your upbringing, how you spend time with your children, how you spend time with your wife, how you spend time with your friends. Like you seem to. It may not be that way in your actual. You feel like you're running out of time, but to everyone else around you, it feels like you give them a great amount of time. So who's been most influential in your life? How did you get this idea of caring for people so much, because you do this so well?
Hmm. As I look back, I remember I was 16 years old, and I was a boy in high school and trying to figure out the things of God. And I remember calling the pastor of the youth group. It was Don Loomer, and he was a mentor of mine. And when I was 16 years old, I called him, but he won't remember this, but I'll remember it. I'll never forget it. But I called him up and said, "Hey man, I just have questions about the things of God or whatever. Do you have time?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll meet you at Foster Freeze." And so his church is on Mills Road in Ventura, and I was at Buena High School, so it was like the great meeting place. And so we were there for about an hour and a half, and I missed fifth period, but we had these great talks. We just sat and ate corn burritos, and had a Coke and just chatted, and it was just good. That someone, I'll never forget that day, that someone took their time out,
Mm,
changed their schedule just to go sit with a 16-year-old kid that had questions. So, and then I look at it was probably 2009. So we're looking, that's 86. So we're looking 23 years later. I run into him in Santa Paula. He comes into the restaurant with his wife and a couple. And I just feel the Holy Spirit say, "Hey, go talk to Don and see if he's got time for you." And we have an hour-long wait Friday night. And I remember leaving the restaurant and finding him on the other side of the street and saying, "Hey man, you got time to hang out with me?" He goes, "Yeah, is everything good?" I go, "Everything's great. I want to keep it that way."
mm.
So would you take the time? And so for 4.5 years, we met every Tuesday from 2:30 to 4 o'clock. And it was just good. And sometimes it was deep and it was tearful and it was just opening up story. And there were times it was just like just being one of the guys. But then there came that time and it's like, "Hey, I'm moving to Santa Barbara." And so he ended up being widowed, and then he was remarried, and he moved to Santa Barbara, and he was an elder at a church up there. He's just one of those guys. So that was one of my key things that happened to be in a couple different parts of my life. One as a child, then one right after became opening the restaurant. So I've been really thankful for that.
Wow.
I've always looked. It's funny when I've asked for a couple guys to be my mentors over the last couple of years, and I've been turned down. And so I'm like, man, who is it? And I'm always learning from other people. But yeah. So currently, I only have one at the moment. So, and that gentleman lives in San Luis Obispo, John Secunda.
Mm.
Just a fantastic guy that's been a friend, mentor. He just happens to be 20 years older than me, and just a wealth of knowledge. So, and a wealth of wisdom. So, I'm really enjoying our conversation with him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so you have these people speaking into your life, but I know you also give so much knowledge. So what are some resources that has helped you grow, internally, faithfully, just as a man in general, a father, husband, whatever it is?
And obviously the simple one, I'm in my Bible. I'm doing devotionals. I love watching movies. I think years ago I wasn't so much. I enjoy like goofy movies and not rom-coms or anything, but I love Bruce Lee movies. So all these action movies
Yes.
and with Steven Seagal and all these, Mel Gibson movies, they're just kind of funny. But starting to watch movies that have been very specific, that have kind of changing people's hearts. And sometimes they're a little goofy and sometimes they're hallmarkish, if you will, but the stories are sometimes good or whatever. And so it's good for the family. So I've been doing a lot of that, but I've also been spending a lot of time with people and reading new books. I'm always asking people, what are they reading? What are they doing differently? And so the last book, like we're talking about, the ruthless elimination of hurry, written by John Mark Comer, whose mentors was John Ortberg, whose mentor was Dallas Willard. So there's kind of a cool little generational thing there from a grandfather, father, son. And so to take this and write a book that was written at a pretty simple level for all to understand. And the whole thing of just learning how to rest, how to get hurry, to be done with hurry. And it's been instrumental, especially I think not just through Catalyst Church in Santa Paula, where I serve with some of my buddies there, but also in the greater Ventura County. And we did a lot through the pub too. So I'm looking for the next book now. I just finished a book, and then another book I'm reading by Tom Patterson, who just does life planning basically. And his actually protege took me through that about 2-3 weeks ago in Vegas, and that was just probably top 5 things I've done in my life. So
Wow.
pretty incredible.
I'm going to ask you one of the broadest yet deepest questions that I can ask you at this moment. But what's the most important thing that you have learned in your life?
The most important thing I've learned. Yeah, there's not just one.
Yeah.
It would be too hard, What I'm currently learning is to operate out of rest and operate out of Sabbath and operate out of time with God, than busting my butt and working all over the place, then resting because I've worked so hard. We kind of just turned that paradigm upside down. And that's been, Comer's been talking about that. There was a guy, AJ Swoboda, who's a professor up in Portland. So I can't remember if it was intentional Sabbath, but it was really operating out of that Sabbath mentality. Like if I learn how to rest with God, I can operate and I can do anything specifically. I take that time, I'm spending time with him, I'm quiet, I'm with my family, we're goofing around. We could be playing cards around the table, we could just be having fun, we go for walks, but we're offering out of the things that are, and what I mean by rest and that Sabbath, it's doing things that are life-giving. If you could walk 30 miles, that was life-giving. It wasn't going to wear you out and put you in bed the next day, but that just made you invigorated to do the rest of the week, then awesome. It's kind of figuring out those things to put them together, and it's like that perfect day that if you got to go work out in the morning, got the devotional, then you got to eat your favorite breakfast, then you got to see your buddy, then you got to do some work, whatever, and then it was a fantastic day at work, then you saw someone for lunch, and then you got to do some more work, and then you came home and had an incredible steak dinner with your wife and your family, and then you got to open a great bottle of red, and just supporting, and then you go to bed and your wife thinks you're the awesomest guy in the world, then that's a great day. So I would encourage more and more guys to operate out of their rest. So that's one of the things. It's one of the most important things I think I've learned. And then also to not just for myself, but to make sure I include my wife, and to try to teach that and actually show that in my marriage. So I have failed miserably in that, being a restaurant owner 7 days a week, that is taken away. And so that's one of the key things I've been learning over the last 6 months, which made it really easy to, when you lose your kind of career that way, but to be able to refocus and say, I got to reset, to make sure I'm operating out of rest, instead of just like chasing everything, trying like, oh, I got to make money, I got to do this. No, it's working out like I'm get it right with God. Once I'm right with God, all the rest of the pieces seem to fall in place. So
that's so good. I want people to rewind that and listen to that part over and over again, finding your rest and working and operating out of that, but also, spending that time with your loved ones. That was amazing. That's the highlighted point. People need to go back and watch that time and time again. That was amazing. But you've walked in your faith, and I love that story of being the 16-year-old kid and kind of stepping more into faith from there. Have you had to change and reinvent yourself along the way as you walk in your faith, or is it just, I'm just going to follow Jesus and just everything falls into place?
No, I think anyone that's had any kind of time with Jesus, and I wouldn't say you're just reinventing yourself. I think that Jesus is reinventing you. depending on where it is. When I grew up in Ventura, then moving out to Santa Paula and doing business here, you change a few things. Your kids are changing schools, and your career's changing, and then you get involved with the city and doing politics. You learn how to navigate things a little bit differently because you're in different scenarios, different areas of life. It's still the same focus, like God's focus. Like, how do I get to care for the other person? That doesn't change, but just some of the people do, and some of the goals and the challenges that are before you, that it evolves a little bit. So as for me, I'm still focusing after God. I'm still chasing after that. Still trying to make sure that me and my wife are on the same page. If we're on the same page, if I'm right with God, I'm right with my wife. 99% of the other stuff I can handle pretty good. But if I'm not, if either one of those is kind of off kilter, it becomes a little more difficult. And we've all tried to fake our way through it. We've all thought, and we've been it could be your Dustin stuff and Clint stuff, whatever. And we got a couple of days of that, even a couple of weeks maybe, and we can fake it until we make it and all that fun stuff. But it just doesn't, it's not sustainable. And there's a time that we just kind of go, and God kind of checks your spirit and checks who you are, whatever. And you're fake, and that you're trying to, kind of messing around and checking and jiving and whatnot. It just doesn't work, doesn't play. So that's okay.
Yeah. I think we got to revisit one more thing, because I loved what you were saying about the rest. And what if someone's, they start to understand what this rest is and operating out of it? How do you start? Like, say someone's listening to it right now and they say, you know what, that sounds like a great idea. What's the first step to maybe start doing that?
Yeah, in AJ Swoboda's book, he was putting it, people were like going, great, how do I just take a full day? Especially when it's not been built in. You don't know how it's built in. So sometimes it is taking those silly steps, is like, I'm going to take 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour. And usually if you can, the majority of culture works, like usually 8 to 5 or Monday through Friday. But there are people that work, find that day that you have off each week, and find that day that you can actually rest. And it's not like going doing laundry, run to the store and all that stuff, but there's a time that's just specifically for you, and for you and for maybe your spouse or your kids. But those times where it's really, really life-giving. So, and if it starts in an hour, great, and build upon that, and then get to that second hour, get to that third hour, get to that half day where it's an 8 to 12. And then it's crucial. What we've seen, and one of the things that I believe it was AJ Swoboda's book, that he put in there, that the Seventh Day Adventists, they Sabbath. That's part of the thing where they do it so well. And on average, within any kind of Christian denomination, they live 10 years longer on average than any other person that claims any other. So you're going, wait a second. There's by taking a day, and basically, if you take a day and you're 70 years, whatever, that adds up to that 10 years, basically, give or take. I'm not being exact science right there, but there's more life because they learned how to do out of rest. So that's one thing that denomination does very, very well. But resting. Yeah. So go figure. But yeah. I would really encourage people, and it's for your health. It's better for you physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. That if you can operate out of rest, it's just not nonstop until you're worn out. I mean, we all know when we've been worn out, and then conversations with our wives, and it's short, our tempers flare up, or I say something that's incorrect or improper, or I'm telling the kids to be quiet or shut up, or the dogs are barking and whatnot. And you're just like, dude, why'd I come home? And, we've all been there. It's like, we have to reset things. But if we're operating out of rest, we're able to take that extra second or two, kind of breathe in, breathe out, take a peek, and reassess what's really going on around us, and then engage correctly. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do want to ask one more question too. So you're going through a change. You being a fellow restaurant owner in the past, it's kind of, that's the goal. That's once you do that, you're hitting the plateau. Like, yeah, I got my career set forever. So you're going through a big change, and you've landed pretty well on your feet. Has it been scary at all for someone that may be going through the same thing? Because a lot of people lost their jobs or changed professions after this pandemic. And there may be someone out there listening, like they feel nervous, they feel scared. And do you have any tips or advice for them going through the same thing?
Oh, like everyone, in every emotion that you could feel when you've lost your business or whatever it is, or when you lose a loved one, there's these things that go through your life that there are these life points, if you will, that are change agents. Some are encouraged and inspired by you, and some are thrown upon you or thrust upon you, such as COVID. The key thing for me is, if I didn't have the faith I did, and wasn't able to rely upon the foundations of who Jesus was in my life, and have the marriage that I've invested in, didn't have that, I think I'd be a little bit more torn up. I would, yeah, there's days that I've cried. I took 2 days that I just cried and I was like moping around, like going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then there's days where I just been walking around the neighborhood, just kind of praying like, okay, God, what's new and exciting. And then I wrote down all my goals. And then I went to Vegas for 2 days for this life plan to kind of figure it out and deconstruct and reconstruct how to do everything. So I've tried a variety of different things. I've read every book. I've spent time in prayer for hours. I've slept all day. And one thing I seriously, one day I'm like, I'm just gonna get drunk because I just want to do that, whatever.
Mhm.
I thought about that for a minute, and I had a beer or two, and I'm like, no, that's not it. That's but all these thoughts go through your head, like most guys, whatever. You're trying to either cover it up or you're trying to figure out what it is. But I finally figured out that if I'm not doing it for God, if I'm gonna all this stuff's gonna reset, I would just encourage people to get closer to God, take your time, rest, Sabbath, get in the Word, get in prayer. When I mean in prayer, whatever, and just mostly just sit there and just listen and just be silent and see what's around you, whether it's looking at the mountains, the ocean, or going for a walk, and be patient. Keep a journal. I mean, everywhere I go, I got this journal with me everywhere I go, just in case there's something like, oh, that's good, I got to write that down.
Mm.
It just sticks with me. And then I would, as you try to figure out how you're going to reset life, I'd be patient in that, but be so aware and try to be in tune with what Jesus had for you, that you get to have new starts. And it may look completely different. It's okay. So, but how are you going to affect your community in your neighborhood, and then go and do that. So
Yeah,
see what the world definitely needs. So
that's great advice. I want to close up. What is, and this will put you on the spot, and top 3 beers in your opinion? What are you liking?
wow. It's hard, having an Irish pub for so long. I've probably tasted over 2,700 beers, I think is what we came to a conclusion in just trying so many different things. Guinness was our go-to within the pub, just because of being the Irish pub and stuff. But I think if I could sit there and I could have something that was my daily drink, or something I just enjoyed because it was hot, and it's hot out here. Usually, it was usually a Stella, and that
Okay.
was okay. But that's not my top 3. But still, is just what my kind of go-to. There's so many great Firestone Brewery. It's out of Paso Robles, whatever. Their brew and their brewmaster, man, that guy is a genius. And so the flavors that they're able to bring out, it's great. Fig Mountain, one of our other breweries that's local, enjoy their beers. Made West, one of my dear friends and people that own that. Great stuff. Institution out in Camarillo, and these guys are really putting their time and effort into their beers, which I really appreciate. But I love that it's not just beer, the old school big boys that are out there that are just throwing beer around, whatever, to sell it, and just whatever liquid goes in a can. I love people that are perfecting their art and their craft to actually enjoy something good, just like a good bottle of wine or a good steak, or a well-made omelet.
Mm.
There's people that have actually put their time and effort into it, and they put it into their craft. So I've seen that. There's Stone Brewery, downtown in San Diego. I mean, can't go wrong. Avery
Yeah.
Brewery, out of Colorado. I mean, Deschutes, up in Oregon. I mean, there's some great breweries. So it's hard to be even one style. But if I'm doing it, I'm drinking Pilsners more than anything else right now.
Okay.
I'm kind of stuck in that range. It's a Pilsner. I'm enjoying. So
Yeah, it's refreshing.
yeah, a little bit different. Yeah, not
Yeah.
as heavy. So yeah.
So we are going to get out of here. I appreciate your time. I want to give a little promo to Nascimento. Do you want to tell people the dates and what's going on for that, how they can sign up?
Sure. So we're going to start doing signups August 1st, and I'll give you a little. So this will be the 21st annual Lake Nascimento Men's Getaway. It's up at the main campgrounds right outside of Paso Robles, 3-hour drive north of Ventura County. We're going to top it off at 250 guys. We had about 15 different churches last year. I got a buddy, Mike Bro, that's a part of Mission Church, and he teaches teachers who teach teachers. I mean, this guy's just a good dude. He's going to be leading us with story, and his son's going to be leading us musically, worshipfully. And then we'll have a cornhole tournament up there. We got 6 boats. We got Alex Uribe, my buddy, running the barbecue. And so you'll eat. Everything's in wrapped in a tortilla. Whatever you put in a tortilla, have as many as you want. Just make sure you're happy and you're fat, and make sure that you're good. And then we'll just have a beautiful time up there. But that's signups are August 1st to September 1st, $150. The dates are September 24th to 27th. Now, again, everything with COVID and whatnot, and all these different things that are going on in society and the climate currently, we're moving forward like it's still going to happen. We're going to be able to, because 1, it's campgrounds. 2, it's outside. 3, you come in different groups, and you still can be separated as much as you want to be separated. So we're trying to be very wise and very kind and caring for everybody around. The only time that you'll be that close to people is when you take a picture. But you can keep distance as much as you want in campgrounds, and there's usually no one in the campgrounds that weekend. So we have, I mean, at least like a half mile of campgrounds spread out where people aren't even next to each other. You can throw a baseball at each other, that kind of distance. So, but there's also people around the campfires. You can still keep 6 feet difference. And we have about 15 different fires at night. So it's good.
Yeah.
So yeah. And if you know the things of God, come. And you want to bring a guy that doesn't, it's the perfect atmosphere for it. And so we have tons, there's probably 10% of the guys don't know God. They just want to camp and they want to come hang out with the boys. And then they get to experience something new and exciting, and see what Jesus does. And they see other guys like, well, you guys do this? And like just normal guys, I don't care if you've been out 2 days out of jail or NAA guy or judge, doctor, lawyer, restaurant owners, pastors, whatever, bringing everybody together at the same kind of area to kind of engage one another. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's true kingdom work. I love that. So make sure you guys set the date. I'm going to be heading up there to bug them. So love to see you up there. I just appreciate your friendship, your leadership, what you've spoken into my life, and I know how you've affected other people's lives. So thank you, Clint, for always listening to what God's telling you to do and pushing you forward. And I can't wait to see what happens next. But yeah, this was Around the Table. Make sure if you like this content, go back and listen to those amazing tips and advice on rest. Subscribe and like this channel so you can hear more things like this. We will have an interview dropping the first Friday of every month. So Clint, thank you. Do you have any closing remarks or words?
No, I appreciate you just giving me the time and be able to hang out and chat over this and just make it so normal. I look forward to doing it in person when we can or whatever. And
yes,
and over the table, actually the table, which would be great. And looking forward to meeting more people. So good luck in this next season, man.
Yeah, thanks. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Thanks, man. Much love.